Okay, so lately I've been watching a lot of Ted. An unhealthy amount of Ted. Everything has been Ted related in my life lately, and I've been injecting Ted into my veins. Ted is a character created by Seth MacFarlane, who is best known for his animated show Family Guy, which aired in the late 90s and is still very much alive.
Let's check the...
Ted is a lot like Family Guy in many ways. Ted sounds like Peter Griffin if he grew up in Boston, the establishing shots are back, and the raunchy humor is just like the older episodes.
Should we say grace?
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Now, I like the original movies. They're not anything perfect. Seth MacFarlane is a great voice actor, but I feel like at the time, he wasn't quite ready for something like this. I mean, are you ever truly ready? It was his first feature film. That's kind of a lot. The first Ted is still fantastic. It has a lot of heart, but some of the dated humor kind of hinders the movie at times. A lot of the humor works too, and it's very much in the same vein as his other work, like Family Guy. The second Ted is also really, really funny, but I don't think it's as sincere as the first one. I think a lot of its messages about civil rights work, but having John Bennett start from scratch all over again was an interesting choice. Although the movies might not be perfect, they had a lot of charming elements. Ted the series takes those elements and turns them up to 100. So the story is that Seth MacFarlane had a contract with Universal and they reached out to him about making a prequel series to his first feature film. Ted was originally pitched as an animated series, so this quickly got Seth's interest.
In all honesty, I signed a deal with Universal, and they said, we'd really love to do a TED TV series. I'll be honest, it was not my idea, but I was intrigued, and I said, are we at the point where you guys would spend the money to do? I mean, it's a CGI bear. It's not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
The Ted series takes what worked in the movies and expands on it. Seth MacFarlane harkens back to what made him successful in the first place. A lot of the jokes are taken from Family Guy, and they're just made better in live action, and the use of the establishing shots is nearly identical.
And also, I recently found out you're a virgin, which is interesting because you've been lying about that too. So I hope you do give your boyfriend fellatio, because at least then there's something going down your throat besides your finger. That about cover it?
So you pick on Meg to avoid the inevitable realization that once your body's used up by age 19, you're going to be a worn-out, chalky-skinned burlap sack that even your stepdad won't want. How's that? Am I in the ballpark?
After sticking to other projects like The Orville and voicing Family Guy, I don't think it's a surprise that he went back to Ted. He has been quoted as saying Family Guy should have ended already, and with the possibility of The Orville not coming back, I think Seth saw this as a great opportunity to expand on something he had already worked on. This time, much more experienced, and I gotta say, his writing is incredible in this new show. And that's also because he got a lot of help. I mean, some of the Modern Family creators are helping him on this show, and it shows. This is a well-written, well-packaged, just everything about this show is very well done. Seth decided to retcon John's parents into something much more realistic to what a kid from Boston would come home to in the 90s. John's parents barely appear in the first film, and they are played by two different actors. It seems that this series is in the same universe as the movies, but it never acknowledges anything other than the scene with John wishing for Ted to come to life. Me personally, I wasn't sure about the change at first, but the two actors they got are absolutely incredible. Alana Eubank from Euphoria and Scott Grimes from American Dad completely embody their roles. I think part of the reason that is because Seth MacFarlane knows the importance of voice acting, which is something that I think is sometimes neglected in some movies. Max Burkholder also does a great job at separating himself from what Mark Wahlberg did with the character of John Bennett. Ted and John's relationship is very reminiscent of Stewie and Brian. The best episodes of Family Guy are easily the Brian and Stewie episodes. When I watch Ted, it's like watching Brian and Stewie all grown up in live action. John and Ted have a great chemistry, and it never feels like the actors aren't talking to anything. And that's mostly because of the new technology they have available for this series. Some of it is really impressive, and it's kind of remarkable how people get to work with this nowadays.
You can see the visual effects element in real time as you're shooting. It's a real advantage all across the board for every facet of the filmmaking.
The inclusion of John's cousin Blair was also a great addition. She brings an interesting dynamic to the show, and it's a much more fleshed out female character in comparison to like Meg from Family Guy. She challenges everyone around her, which is a very common sitcom trope, and it causes a lot of growth throughout the series. There's a lot of sincerity in this series, which you wouldn't expect from something related to Ted. I'm just overall very happy with the quality of this show, and I recommend it to absolutely everyone out there. The series hasn't been picked up yet for season 2, but I hope that changes soon with how well it's doing. I would be shocked if it wasn't continued. But yeah, that's it for the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.